Hello, good evening. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I hope the stream is working okay. I hope everyone's well. Let's see how we go. Dan of all trades, thanks. It's only my second live stream. I tell you why, and if you've tried to join my membership group, you'll know that we've been closed for a month to new memberships because I'm switching to a different app and leaving Facebook. I was on a Facebook app, and I'm moving to a really cool website called Learn Worlds and building a whole course really of literally sort of how to trade technically from scratch. So it's taken a bit of time, and so if you're one of the people waiting, I know there's a few people waiting, we should have it done this week, and then we'll start, just like I did 4 years ago, we'll start the whole course from scratch, lesson by lesson. So it'll be a really cool thing to start again and a good refresher for people. So that's what I've been up to. Plus, I also had COVID, and it took, I don't think COVID's a really dreadful disease, but it did kind of take a long time to get my mojo back afterwards. I felt just tired all the time. And in fact, I still do. So, I don't want to claim I got long COVID or anything like that, but just it seems to take a bit longer than I want it to get better. So there you go. So for a very long time, I said I wanted to buy Bitcoin at 32,800, and that was based on sort of equal measured moves. So if we measure from this high to this low, which I didn't do quite right. And so from this high to this low and project it from this high, 32,853 was my level. The low, when we made the low here on the 24th of January, was 32,946. So it missed it by like $100. So I did leave an order down there, and I didn't get filled, which is really bloody annoying. The only good thing I can say about it is that Bitcoin almost always, and I've got Heikin-Ashi candles on, let me put regular candles on. Bitcoin almost always retests lows. It makes those funky double bottoms and double tops where it breaks the level, gets everybody going the wrong way, like this top we did here, just like this low here. And so I'm kind of hoping that it comes back and does that again. But you know what? If everybody suddenly starts looking at this and goes, you know what? I think it stopped going down and it might go up again, then we probably won't retest the low. So, I'm going to be looking for a pullback entry. So I'm looking at this, and yeah, I think we should retest the lows. I'm looking for a pullback anyway. Now, if this 32,800, and I really want to buy it as close to this 32,800 as I can, because that's a level where I'm wrong. Because if this support level doesn't hold, if we get underneath 32,800, this equal measured move level, and get stuck underneath it, as in it becomes, resistance, then the next support that I have is down here, sort of 23,000, which is very common in this irregular correction. But, so there we are. That's where it is. And sometimes, if this starts getting momentum, the FOMO thing will push this higher. So normally I would look for a flip of the lower time frame moving averages, which we've got here, and then up we go. So at the moment, this is resistance. We've got a double top and a triple top. My rule of double top, triple tops levels, and let me make sure this is level because I don't think it is, around here, haven't we? So we got these previous highs around here. Third touches are very often false breakouts, so watch out for that. But if we do keep going higher, then yeah, we may not come back and retest this low. We might just keep going. One of the things that I'm counting in my favor of a retest of the lows is very often the last day of the month doesn't mean very much in terms of direction. You'll see position squaring in funds and big institutional money, and the last day of the month can be very funky, and then sometimes it takes a couple of days at the start of the month to get going in the right direction. On the 3rd this month, we have the European equivalent of the Fed. So we have the ECB and the rate decision, and we have the Bank of England rate decision, and we have a new moon. And new moons are in the markets for me, and particularly in Bitcoin, are very often turning points. When we were in a big uptrend, they would be very often pullbacks when we would turn back up again with the trend. Since we've been in this downtrend, or at least the last 6 months anyway, if you mark the dates of the new moons, you'll see that they've marked kind of local tops where we've turned down again. So I think if we could start turning up on a new moon, that might also be quite a good sign. I've always been looking for this market to make a low in January. I think that this hopefully would then be a wave 4 complete. But, you know, unless we get above this daily 20 moving average, sorry about my dog, unless we get out of this channel, okay, my dog does not understand me talking to a microphone. Okay, and she'll only listen for so long before she barks at me because I'm not looking at her, which is quite funny, really, I suppose. They don't get the phone either. Okay, so we got this down channel and 20 moving average here. So I think if we get above that and these previous lows, which is basically 40,000, we've broken out of this channel, we've broken above the daily 20 moving average, and I don't think we're coming back. So above 40,000, a close above 40,000 would see that, yeah. And then a 46,600, which was this previous support level, would be the next resistance, first target, and I think we'll say hi to the 200-day moving average. Don't let me be too bullish here. Don't get me wrong. Unless we make a new high, I still think that there's a very good chance that we could retest these lows. If we can't break out of this channel, I think we could still have a choppy week ahead of us, and we could still retest these lows. And when I look at the S&P, which has been... Now, I said the S&P, I was expecting a retest of the lows unless we closed above the 200-day moving average, which we just have. So potentially we could see the bottom is in stock indexes as well. And so let's see. Okay, now the dog's going to eat a bone really loudly. I just apologise about the background noise. Okay, so yeah, I am not terribly bearish, even though, you know, we haven't got, in terms of weekly candlesticks, we haven't got the bullish reversal that we're looking for yet. In terms of daily candlesticks, you know, we're still trading under all of our moving averages, and so we really are vulnerable for a retest of the lows. I don't want to write that off, but above 40,000, I think that we could... keep going and probably not retest these lows. Whilst we stay underneath 40,000, there's a good chance that we could retest 32,000. And I'm definitely looking for it to hold and to buy there. Okay, so not all charts. Most alt charts, if you look at them, look pretty terrible at the moment. And, you know, the scandal this week, there are a lot of scammers in crypto. With all of these altcoins, you really have to just, not one of them is going to make you rich. You have to spread your risk around. Don't marry them. Don't believe all the hype. You know, all the charts, the 10 lists that I've listed tonight are all old school coins. They've been around for a while, so we have a chart history that we can make a technical decision to buy them on. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be a lot of new coins this year that might be interesting and really take off. But when you buy them for different reasons. You're going to buy them because you've done some research and you've got some fundamental reasons why it's quite a good project, or the people involved, or whatever. Or the hype, just the hype. But if you're buying a coin on the hype, just be careful, you know. Don't marry any of your trades, is what they used to say. Don't go all in and believe that any single altcoin is going to make you rich. It's just not. But if you're rational, spread your risk around, don't stay in too long. When they stop going up, it's time to get out. Then you can do really well. Like, you can do amazingly well. And I think this is going to be a good year. Okay. lecture over. So I'm going to start with F because F's made a very similar pattern to Bitcoin. When I look at this chart, and I know that most people don't look at these moving averages, but when I look at this chart, this clearly correction here was not a three-wave or a zigzag correction. So I find this really hard to see as a correction complete. And then when we did this, which looked like another zigzag or three-wave measured move, it always looked like we were going to need another leg lower with a relationship to this first one. And then, so instead of, normally in an uptrend, you'll do a three-wave correction like that. Sometimes in an uptrend, they'll be level. And sometimes they'll look like this, And I feel like this is what we were looking at, basically. So in that case, if that's the correction here, then this swing and this swing will have a relationship. And if you look, we've bounced from where they were dead equal, basically. So happy days, exactly where we wanted to see this bounce from. Sometimes, though, when you see this pattern, you make a new high and then you make a marginal new low and then you rally, which is why both in Bitcoin and in ETH, there's a risk that we still go down to this 1272 level. So basically the rule we're going to say for ETH is if we go back and retest the lows and they don't hold, or if we get underneath 2195 and it becomes resistance, the next support is 1468. So you don't kind of want to hang on. So that's how I'm seeing F, but otherwise I think it's made the same really nice ABC correction and it's on its way up again. And all of the coins that I'm looking at tonight, I think you should look at them against Bitcoin and see that they're going to outperform. This looks like also another sideways correction in F Bitcoin, and it does look like we're turning up again and could be set to outperform Bitcoin quite nicely, resume the uptrend if you like, which would be good news for alts. Okay, so I like F for the same reasons. If this pattern, if we're right about this correction pattern and this zigzag three-wave correction, we should see new highs. So, and I want to say, if you get FOBO, so if it goes quite a long way, or for me, the confirmation back above 32.16, I think for ETH dollar would say we're sure going up. Remember that the first wave that we make very often retrace its 50 or 61%. So you can almost say to yourself, right, I'm going to let the first wave go and I'm going to wait for that 50 or 61.8 pullback to buy. You'd be amazed how common in crypto 50% pullbacks are. They happen all the time. So, sometimes rather than buying at the high and, risking the pain of it coming all the way back again, it's sometimes easier to wait for that pullback and for it to turn up again, for you to know that you've got, you've lowered your risk for where you're wrong. Because if you buy up here, where are you wrong? Down here? That's quite a lot of risk, isn't it? Okay, so quite a lot of altcoins have made similar patterns, and I'm just going to point them out. Here's the first one that I really like, which is Mana. Everybody loves Mana. I really like Mana too. In Mana, we had a really big drop, ABC, and then this second swing was 61.8 of the first swing. It's also from the all-time lows to highs here in Mana Tether, a 61.8 fib bounce, and so we could do that golden ratio thing. So there's targets for Mana from here. The first place we're going to meet resistance in the middle here at the daily 50 moving average, 50% in the middle, acts as a bit of a pivot. And if we look left, you can see highs, lows, highs. So this will be the first place where if you're going to get a pullback to buy Mana, it'll come at this 50% level. Sometimes we even do this. And then the next swing should take us to at least the 38.2. And then above that 38.2, I think there's a good chance that we have bottomed with this lovely, technically perfect zigzag correction in Mana. So is this a buy right here? No, it's not. Is this one to stalk for a pullback entry? Yeah, even short term. See how we've crossed above this 20 moving average today and this low here? That we shouldn't go back beneath that if we're going to keep going up. That should be support. When we get knocked back at the 50, that's where I would be looking for this to come back to, somewhere around 2.5. And then, my target's all the way up 9.5, 10. So in mana. This is a big wave 1, 2, 3, wave 4 correction, and then we should see new highs from this. So that's what I'm looking for in that one. Next one we're going to look at, which I really like the look of, is Luna. These aren't going to be like, you know, amazing surprise finds. I know these are coins that a lot of them like, but they're all at levels where I think we should start turning up again. So in Luna, I had 2 levels marked in pink here. Let's put regular candles on the weekly, where I thought we could find support and rally from. The equal measured move, which we've done here, the zigzag ABC lick, is down here, 46.76. Also, again, 200-day moving average. Like, it's such a nice combination of things. And first bullish reversal candle today here in Luna Tether. So back to these lows. The dog doesn't understand I'm talking to the microphone. Sorry. No diggy. No diggy. Okay. 62.5, 62.48. If we trade above 62.48, I think that Digby, no. Okay, then I think the bottom will be in. If we could draw it as a channel, that will also be some kind of resistance by the time we get there. But yeah, I really like this when you catch us on the first day reversal, because you know you can buy this potentially with quite a shallow pullback. The first resistance is going to be this previous high here. Remember, simple trend rules: lower highs and lower lows. We need to take out this previous lower high first and this swing low here. So that's our first resistance. I think we might get a knock back there. If we got an inverted head and shoulders pattern, that would be a nice bottom. If we got above this level, you know, back to the 20 moving average, that would say we're going up. So I do really like Luna. I'm looking for new highs in Luna, but the first major resistance will be 62.4. Next chart that I kind of like is sand. I think I mentioned this last week. I still like sand. I like sand. When we looked at this last week, we were looking for it to bounce off this equal measured move level. It's got the same pattern, hasn't it, with the 61.8, 50%, 38.2 going on. Let's take my Hakinashi off. So this has rallied like perfectly since we looked at it last week. So for this one, you still need a pullback, unlike Luna that we just looked at, which is like at the first green candle. This one's kind of a week ahead. So by pullbacks in sand, we're getting close to our first major resistance level, these previous lows, but that's our confirmation level, 4.25 or 4.26. Above there, we're looking really good for new highs in sand if we zoom out to the weekly. So correction will be over, hopefully. Yeah, next one we're going to look at is AVAX. I'm looking at all the I'm looking for, make sure I'm not missing any comments. Okay, so remember, there will be some we're not looking at new projects tonight. We're looking at charts with really nice chart history, where we can look for opportunities. I'm just going to find AVAX. It's all the way along here. Here we go. Okay, so AVAX has done the same thing. Zigzag, ABC, equal measured move, bounced from the equal measured move level, support, previous wave 4. It's gotten above the 200-day moving average for the first time. We tried it here and then dipped back here. For the last couple of days, this 200 moving average has been support. I think if we break these highs, next target's 83.13, and that will confirm that we have made a bottom. If we get up there, it may be in a lot of these, you know, that we do that typical crypto thing, you know, where you retest the lows. I'm really hoping not. We could still do it here if we don't make a new high. Just like Bitcoin, we're not completely out of... I'm not saying that we will. You know, the bullish sentiment, there's a lot of people that are still too bearish, and so yeah, there is still a risk that we retest the lows, and I would look for the lows to hold, and I would see that as a really good buying opportunity if that happens in a lot of these. AVAX should make new highs from here. Again, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, and are looking for a big wave 5 for this one. So I know that some people will look at this and say, we went into wave 1 territory. I kind of have the Miner view, you know, if you follow Robert Miner, this in volatile markets, you can go into wave 1 territory, but you can't close within it, which we didn't here. If you look, the close actually was down here, and so we didn't close within that wave 1 territory, so I'm still gonna count that. So yeah, that's AVAX, still looking for a new high. That's me though, and a lot of really religious Elliott wave analysts wouldn't probably agree with that, so they'll call this something else. I'm not an Elliott wave expert. I do like to count the obvious waves because I think they give you really good trade opportunities though. So that's how I'm seeing that. So the next favourite one is FTM. I'm looking at this on the daily now. I looked at FTM, I think, last Monday here, and I was looking for and we had this big rally, and I was looking for a retest of the lows, this 61.8 level, and huzzah, we got it. So that's happy days. Let's go back to the daily, take out. So in this, because we had this little sort of quite double top, in this we did this correction where the C leg is 61.8 of the A leg. So here's our A leg, B leg, C leg, 61.8. I was looking for a retest of this to hold. It's looking quite promising, isn't it? We're not obviously out of trouble. We really do need to get back above these daily moving averages. We might go sideways a bit while this 200 moving average catches up. Obviously, if we get underneath 1.946 and get stuck underneath it, we're likely to go down and do the full measured move. But at the moment, it looks like we've held on a retest. And so back above these highs, that would be a bullish sign, wouldn't it, in FTM? So, and that would say, hopefully, a bit of a bottom in. So that's my 4-hour chart and my daily chart. Not out of trouble, but good price action for FTM to make a bottom here. Next one that I kind of really like is Chiliz. Haven't looked at this one for a while, but there it is. Why do we like Chiliz? Not just because it looks like a really nice double bottom here, which it does, but it's also done one of those corrections where this second swing here is 61.8 of this first swing. It looks like we've gone 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and 5 waves down to finish here. It's also a big 786 fib, which I kind of don't like that we're just underneath. And so I'm going to say that I really want to see us above it to nail this, and that's at 0.1971. So here in the short term, it does look like we're making a pretty good base, doesn't it? Maybe I'm not on the best volume chart here. It does look like one of those bottoming patterns, but I feel much better about this above 0.197. And there's a little bit of a gap here. So above 0.197 from this little 4-hour bottoming pattern that we've got in Chiliz would be a good look. I don't want to get stuck under this fib level if we can help it, because these fib levels look pretty sharp. Look at this 61.8 back test here. So yeah, above 0.197 Chiliz US dollar would look quite good for a bottom. And then of course the daily 20 moving average would be even better. And then we'd be looking back to these. First target would be back to this previous swing high and 0.351 in Chiliz dollar. Next one is XTZ. And everyone's going to groan. Listen, this is just charts, and this is one that's also made a pretty simple zigzag equal measured move, and the price action is pretty good. So here's our first drop, B leg, divides into 3, and here's our equal measured move and about. So I don't know if this will turn into something, but the first, we're right at the 20 moving average here. If we continue above it, I think the first target should be back to this previous high in the 61.8 at 5.27. And above 5.27, I would say, yeah, we have made a bottom. We should be going on our way to new highs in this one as well in XTZ. So a lot of work to get through these moving averages again, but it's in the right place to do it. So XTZ. One of the first signs I think would be this weekly candlestick. You see how when you have big thrust down candlesticks like this, very often the 50% of the open close of that candlestick is resistance. If we were to close the week above that, so if we were to close the week above 3.685, this is also a bit level, that would be a really good sign for this one. Okay. Let's see how that looks on the daily. Yeah, 3.685. Okay. Jerome says you're hoping that would. Nazira says that Chinese New Year is historically Bitcoin red. Yeah. It is, you're right. So we will get a pullback. I have to say, you almost kind of can let it go. Like, let it show you that it's bottomed. And by the first pullback, we will always get a decent one. It's much nicer to be, rather than trying to catch knives, it's much nicer. You do give a little bit away. I think you either buy it at the level, scalper style, and hold on without leverage. Don't ever do that with leverage. Or you kind of let the market talk to you, I think. One of the new traders, well, the biggest mistake, I have to say that I think all new traders make, I made it, everybody I know who trades made it, is when you start, you use too much leverage and you trade too much. So if you're really picky and you wait, good things will come. So I'm going to talk about Litecoin next, because Litecoin is I always have found Litecoin a really good leading indicator for Bitcoin at turning points. Now, here we are in Litecoin. 200 weekly moving average. I haven't got quite this in the right place. There we go. 786 fib retrace from this high to this low. We're retesting it. So we're making a quite nice double bottom here. It's also very nice 61.8. So if this is A, B, C, this is a 61.8 level. I don't think we're going to go down to the equal measure move because that would put us negative. And so, in terms of support and resistance, big moving averages, this is a really cool place for Litecoin to make a bottom. At the moment, these candlesticks aren't enough to tell us that. All they can tell us is that we've stopped going down, which is pretty good. So now I'd like to see if we can make a nice, good boy. I'm going to stop talking in a minute. I'm not talking to you. Okay, sorry. So, again, we're going sideways. If we can break out of this really nice sideways range that we're making here in Litecoin, that would also be a really nice bullish sign. What I want to warn though about Litecoin particularly, well, when you see a chart pattern like this a wedge consolidation in a downtrend, very often it's a wave 4 pattern, and very often it will break to the downside. In fact, for a lot of these charts, I would be way more bullish if we had a false break lower followed by a sharp reversal. That's probably my favorite. No! Sorry. That's probably my favorite bullish look, if you like, at the lows. So I would really like to see that in Bitcoin and ETH and all of them. A false break at the lows that recovers sharply. That would be very bullish. Okay, so one more, which is Link. Let's take a quick look at Link. As you know, I've got a foster dog here. As you can see, everyone's getting along. Happy days. I don't know why everybody wants to be in the office when I'm working, but here we are. So in this one, again, link, the weekly moving average hasn't quite caught up, but this is, in terms of support and resistance, it doesn't really get much better than this, does it? If we look at these previous lows and highs, here that we're sitting on, this level that we're sitting on, no. And we've also got that ABC 61.8, and so everything is looking pretty good for this to be a bottoming level and link. We just now need to see that it actually does make a bottom here. I would, again, really like to see a retest. I really like to see a double bottom, that kind of thing. If we were to drop down to this lower fib level, I think if you overshoot a level, what I really like to see is a inverted head and shoulders pattern. Something like that is a really good look. But yeah, I think links at a really good place to make a base and a rally from here as well. So Jerome said, Vchain, let's take a look. Sit. I'm just going to get the chart up. Now, oh, that's right. Just remember. So when you see this, see how this is an equal measure move? This is really obviously a corrective move, and so that means that this was a first swing and this was a middle and this is another leg. And so for me, and you can label it whichever way, but this big rally was a correction. So if that's the case, let's tidy everything else up. If that's the case, then here we are in Vchain, right at the level where we would want to be, because here's our first swing down, correction, and we are 61.8 of this first swing. We're not going to go to the equal because that's a negative number. So yeah, I would say this little level that we're perched on is a support. Yeah, I am expecting, I think it's a very good place to do it from. So 0.0506, that was today's low. If we get underneath that level and get stuck underneath it, then it's not going to look so good. But no, I think this is a great level for Vchain to rally from. Okay, so Ben, I've had a Spanish stray dog for a year called Max. He's brilliant. He's a complete marshmallow. And there was another one of his, a female of his breed, who wasn't doing very well in kennels, chewed her toe off, got really stressed. So I said I would foster her, and some people are coming for a second visit tomorrow to take her for a walk, and they might adopt her, which would be really good, because she's the one that's sitting behind me growling, because somebody in the next door village heard that I fostered a dog and has a Labrador the same age as my gunner, and said, would I foster her dog, because she got it in COVID. He's nearly 1. She said I think she was going to have a nervous breakdown. So he came today. So everyone's like, yeah, niggle. He's beautiful. This Labrador is beautiful. So well behaved. So funny. Anyway, Miss Spanish Stray doesn't like him. So anyway, yeah, this would be the same pattern that we're seeing across all of the alts. And yeah, I'm not ruling out a nasty retest of the lows. I wouldn't rule out also a false breakdown. You know, we could sorry, I didn't mean to do that. When the moving averages are the wrong way around, the way these are, very often you'll rally up into them, and then that's when you'll get your retest of the lows, and yeah, that's what you want to see. But sometimes there's, so often in crypto, there's one more low, shakes everybody out, unnerves you. We see that so much here. Look here, look, double bot. So here, look, do you remember what we say about third touch, false break? So we've got this low, look. So first touch, second touch, third touch, false break, and up we go. So sometimes even closing underneath it, like, yeah, freaks you out, doesn't it? That's a very crypto thing to do at turning points. So Bitcoin loves to do it. It wasn't so busy of a day, but yeah. So I'm cautiously optimistically bullish. I do think, though, that we could see a little bit of a setback later this week around the new moon. But if the new moon started to be bullish, that would be a really good sign, I think. But what do I know? Okay. I will say bye. See you all next week. I will let you know when